Hello everyone, welcome back to SkySaga Alpha 4. It is time for another Tutorial Tuesday, and this week we're going to be talking about boss farming and everything you can get from that. So if I turn around here, we're going to be talking about how to build a cage to contain all of the bosses. We're going to be talking about respawn, we're going to be talking about what weapons to use and why, and then we're going to be talking about all of the loot that you can get from these bosses. So to start with, we are going to talk about the cage that you can build to contain all of these bosses. So the cage itself is pretty simple. All you're going to need is blocks and a 5 by 6 area centered around the respawn point for all of the bosses. And I will show you where the respawn point is when we get up to talking about all of the materials we can get from these bosses. So if you've got the respawn point here, you want to go out into the corner of the area, go up 2 blocks and build a 5 by 5 ring 2 blocks above the ground. So if I build this all the way up like so, this will leave a 3 by 3 area in the middle with a central point of the spawn radius. This will give a nice little trap for the boss to stay in, and as mobs cannot jump up 2 blocks, the boss will be trapped in here. The final thing to do is to remove this front line of blocks in the floor, which will give you an area to drop down into and attack the boss's legs. When you're down here, most of the boss mobs will not actually be able to do any damage to you at all. However, if you jump up to the top here, a lot of bosses will be able to hit you with their weapons. So always stick down in the gap down the bottom here. So respawn is next up. Respawn is all about how far away you are. So you need to be 50 blocks from this respawn point here. There's a couple of different ways to do this depending on where the boss is spawned. If the bosses spawn underground, then simply pull out some pickaxes, dig a 2 by 1 tunnel into the wall somewhere going 50 blocks out, and once you've hit that 50 block point, you can turn around, come back, and the boss will have respawned in the middle. If you're in a map where the boss is in a higher location, up off the ground, the easiest way to do that is to dig through the wall and then build yourself a pillar of blocks out away that you can walk down, and once again you just need to get 50 blocks away, turn around and come back, and the boss will have respawned. Now every now and again there is a slight bug with this and the boss will not respawn. So if that happens, if you've gone 50 blocks down the tunnel and nothing has happened, go all the way back to the edge of your tunnel, all the way back down to the end of your tunnel, and just wait. Give it a minute or so, and the boss should respawn. If it doesn't, go all the way back down to the end of the tunnel and just give it a little bit of time. Every now and again, like I said, there is a small bug where they don't respawn as you would expect. Finally, we're going to talk a little bit about weapons to be using with this boss farming technique. So personally, I prefer the metal maces that you can see in front of me. There's a couple of reasons for this. One, they're very durable. Two, they don't have any knockback at all, which is very important. With a boss in a cage like this, if you knock them back with a two-handed weapon or anything with a lot of knockback, you can actually push them out through the cage and behind the trap, which puts you in a bit of a problem area. So the easiest thing to do is to get your hands on some of these metal maces. These will drop from warlords, and they are in green and white. So if you get your hands on some of these, they'll be the best thing that you can use to farm with. So what can you get from boss farming, and why do you want it, and where do you get it? So the first couple of things that I've got down here are dark hearts and recipes for the Guardian's armor pieces. So dark hearts can be found basically by killing anything else that we're going to talk about in this list. So pretty much all of the bosses will have a chance to drop dark hearts. It's a smaller chance than dropping the other things we're going to be talking about, but the chance is there. So if you are farming pretty much any boss, there is a chance you'll walk away with quite a few dark hearts from that adventure. Dark hearts are used to get you through to the darker keystones, which is where you find more recipe drops, so they're definitely very useful. The Captain's Armor recipe set, sorry, Guardian's Armor recipe set is dropped from any warlords that we'll talk about in the rest of this set, and allow you to make yourself the full set of Guardian's Armor, which is a better heavy duty armor in the game. Next up we have Abyssium. Now Abyssium is the strongest metal in the game and hits the hardest if it's made into weaponry. Abyssium can be found by dismantling Mark of the Forest, Mark of the Mountain, and Mark of the Desert. So Mark of the Forest can be found in the Skystone Castle in a forest, where the warlord spawns in here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks out from the center of the chest, and a few further blocks out from the portal. Mark of the Mountain can be found in Cragstone Depths in the mountain, where you get 2 bandit berserkers spawn, one here in this hole and one there in that hole, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks out from the chest, and 1, 2 to the left, and 1, 2 to the right. So it's best to set up a little double trap like this. Now, because of this double trap formation and the 2 bosses spawning, this is definitely the best place to get both Abyssium and Dark Hearts, because every single time you run down that tunnel, you have 2 bosses to kill, therefore you have a chance of getting 2 Dark Hearts, and you're going to get the 2 of the Marks of the Mountain. So this one is the easiest one to farm to get large numbers of those, and therefore get larger amounts of Abyssium. Mark of the Desert. The Mark of the Desert can be found in the Warrior's Tomb in the desert, where the Skeleton King spawns here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks out from the chest. Crimsonite. Crimsonite is the red metal and also the fastest metal in the game, so you build weapons out of it and they will have the highest swing rate possible for that weapon. So Crimsonite can be found in Roots of the Mountain and in Hearts of the Forest. So Root of the Mountain is found in the Sky Peak Citadel in the mountain, in a dark mountain keystone, with a warlord that spawns here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks out from the chest. Now, another little tip for this area is that you are going to have lots of captains and knights and things spawning here as well. So kind of extend the trap out and leave a little bit of room to trap some of these guys in so that they don't keep continuously respawning and harassing you. It's probably also a good idea to just put a single line block across the door to stop knights like this guy getting in and bothering you while you're farming. And then Heart of the Forest is found in the underground vault in a dark green world, where the warlord spawns here, which is just 1 block back from the start of the grates. The Everliving Shard is a gem like this one that drops from the Skeleton King in the Warrior's Tomb in a normal yellow world, and it can be disassembled to give you purple gems and also inkwood. The Queen's Jewel is a pink gem that can be found in the dark yellow worlds in the Corrupted Hive, with the Bug Queen, who spawns right on top of this chest. Now, because the Queen is very, very stationary, you don't actually need to build a cage for her at all. She will stay in place without a problem. This means that all you really need to do here is build yourself a tunnel that goes 50 blocks in one direction, run down that tunnel and run back. She'll respawn, just jump up and down, kill her with whatever weapons you like, you're not going to move her around, and then you should be able to farm exactly like that. And the Heart of Flame is a red jewel that can be found in a normal green world in the Ember Wolf's lair, where the Firewolf spawns here, which is slap bang in the middle of the grates in the portal room. Now, the Firewolf is a bigger mob, which means you actually need a bigger cage to contain it. So I'm just going to quickly build that up and I'll show you what I mean. So to build the cage, you want to go around the edge of the grating. So there's little corners in the grating, pillar those up and then make a ring around the outside. This will contain the Firewolf, but it will also still be able to shoot you when you dig a path down. So fill these edges out to be too thick and it will contain the Firewolf in a nice little area where it will be harder for the firewolf to actually shoot you through the gap. But if you do the same trick as with the other traps and dig a little pit down the side here, you'll be able to nicely and easily attack the feet of the firewolf without taking as much damage. If you stand up here, you're definitely going to take a lot of damage trying to kill the firewolf. So these aren't all of the places that you can get these bosses to spawn, but these are the most reliable and the best ways of getting them to spawn and getting the most boss loot you possibly can in your farming session. Please, when you are doing your farming, be responsible for the other people in the worlds. Let them know what you're doing. Let them have a shot at killing the boss if they want to. And don't block entrances to the boss room. Even if you are farming in there, just, leave at least a gap so that people can get through and get through to the portal and the portal chest and all that kind of stuff. I would like to thank Captain Corey, who is a streamer, for helping out with the perfection of the farm design. And also Daulken with his wiki for some information regarding where to find some of the materials and which bosses dropped what. I'll put a link to Corey's stream and Daulken's wiki down in the description below. It is definitely a good idea to check those out. They are amazing resources. Okay, and that is all for today. I hope this gives you a bit more of an understanding about how you go about boss farming and what you can get from where. I'll see you all next time.